Russia has had time to lay out a textbook fixed defense. So 3 lines of trenches, scrapes for tanks to come forward into to fire from hull down positions. They will have rehearsed the artillery fire plan in support of defending those lines, and they will have rehearsed the crucial rapid counterattacks, which are so vital when you are trying to restore a line that's being attacked. But the point about the numbers are, this is a 900-mile front line, so they need a lot of people, and it looks as if they have streamed the people that they have. And they've also adjusting their tactics based on how the war's, I mean, you'd expect them to learn. So their ability to counter drones and use drones, they've learned to keep their big assets like headquarters and ammunition dumps out of HIMARS range, out of long-range precision rocket range. And they have sharpened up how they can fire at Ukrainian artillery and tanks when they spot them. And so they're going to have to choose, I would think, 1, 2, maybe 3 places where they concentrate that force to have somewhere between a 3-to-1 and a 7-to-1 advantage over the Russians at that point in order to smash their way through and then exploit what they're and hold on to the ground that they've taken. So that means this offensive is going to be, in a land sense, quite a narrow frontage. I'd be surprised if it's more than 20 miles, to be honest, at least to start with, in order to guarantee success. And then they've got to hold it. So the key point is, this offensive has to show some battlefield success. It has to show that Ukraine, suitably supported, can defeat the Russians on the battlefield. Battlefield success has to be enough to show hope and prospect to bind in further strategic support. And to put it another way, if it fails utterly, or worse, Russia stops it and then mounts a renewed offensive of its own, which I think is pretty unlikely, given the state of it, then what? You know, then is it time to settle before it gets worse? Or in a very bad outcome, is this war coming NATO's way? And nobody wants that, and we're nowhere close to it. If you're Ukraine and you know you've got to mount this offensive, you are trying to increase the chances of surprise about when you do it, where you do it, and how you do it. So they're going to do 2 things. They're going to sow disinformation, Ukraine, about, you know, when and how. So the conversation about we haven't got enough stuff is pretty much true, but it's also sowing a sense that, well, this won't come for a while. So we wouldn't expect Ukraine to make an appointment for this. The first thing is I would want to take and hold some meaningful territory. Now, meaningful means big enough, but also it dislocates the Russian hold on Ukraine. So people talk a lot about could they cut the land bridge from Russia to Crimea? And if they could and hold it, that's a meaningful success. But it's quite a big ask because, you know, Russia knows that's a meaningful success and would focus on making sure it doesn't happen. The second thing I would be keen to do is make sure I keep the Russian Air Force out of Ukraine, and that the counteroffensive isn't the moment the Russian Air Force suddenly finds capability and courage and romps, you know, all over Ukraine, because that would be very debilitating. You know, maybe this is the best stalemate they can get. And no one thinks that's a great outcome. That's a win for Russia. And Russia absolutely believes that the West will lose heart and interest and will worry about our mortgages and our gas prices and we'll wander off. And Russia is not going to wander off because it sees Ukraine as Russia. So if it's just Ukraine's counteroffensive, then this is a precursor to a stalemate that no one in the West will unlock. If it's just Europe's counteroffensive, so discount the US because they want to wander off to China, then this counteroffensive will show that Europe now needs to get up to speed and pay 100 billion euros a year for the next 3 years. That's about the price of this. Because this is important to European security, which it is.